I've been running, trying to catch me a bag. Sitting here chilling while I'm trying to go laugh.
Trying to get us copyright stricken in the first like.
Can you get copyright stricken for that? For singing song?
I don't know. Probably.
I only said like 3 of the 5 words. Like,
you should check. You should check your Bad and Bougie Geek mix.
Let's see if that has a copyright strike. It's almost like it's almost the exact same song actually. Mm-hmm. So if that one, if that is copyright stricken,
because you fully recreate it in GarageBand.
I fully recreate. I mean, it's I didn't use anything from the original song. Yeah. But I completely recreated it so it sounds the exact same.
Yeah, you should check. That'd be a good test. Anybody who hasn't seen Sean's Geek Mix, go watch it.
Yeah, go ahead and shout people out to that to the Geek Mix. That's the one I want people to watch.
CUDJOE Studios on YouTube.
Yeah, give them the full plug. I want them to see
Bad and Bougie
Geek Mix. I made this music video called Bad and Bougie Geek Mix. It's just literally the song of Bad and Bougie. Yeah. But I do all of it. So I made the beat. I did the words and like the voices myself and like
we'll really have to. It sounds exactly like you did a good job recreating it.
I mean, I really try to focus on the detail,
Yeah, we should see if that's copyright stricken.
If it is copyright stricken, then go me. That's honestly a compliment.
If it isn't, or if it is.
If it is, that's a compliment. True. It's like, damn, I'm so close to the original.
Because if you're just like singing a song, but you're not like just casually. Like singing.
Yeah, like I get it. If I like took the song and just played it, right? Like that's literally the song.
Yeah.
But if I make the song myself, is that copyright stricken?
I guess it would be more of a cover.
Exactly. And covers are for free.
Are covers always for free?
I think it depends on the situation, but
like, can you make money off of a cover? Well, yeah, because like
you can.
There's some very famous covers, but they usually change the instruments. Like if you use the same instruments and stuff that's made,
I don't think you can use the song like however the instrumentation is. You can't do it, but you can do the words.
So
and the melodies.
But what if I do a cover of a fully acoustic song?
You're gonna have to sing it a cappella.
That's what I wonder. Like, but if it's like a guitar song, like an electric guitar song, and then I play it on an acoustic guitar,
that's probably fine. And then also reverse too.
YouTube's very lenient too with copyright. I feel like you really don't have to credit everyone or anything. Like,
define lenient, because I feel like the only thing YouTubers complain about all the time is getting copyright strikes.
They get copyright claims. Claimed. Yeah, they get like the thing if there's audio, like music in it, because the algorithm or whatever can recognize it. Mm-hmm. But when they're not usually copyright claimed? What? Think about it, like parodies, or like, I guess parodies you're actually technically allowed to do under copyright.
God-given right by the Constitution.
But think about it, like Batman, like somebody's Batman movie, fan made, that might not be a parody. It might be like they're actually trying to create Batman. But it's still not probably.
That's a good point.
Because like they don't really copyright like properties that frequently, unless it's like a music or something.
That's a good point. Well, I mean, to be fair, the Star Wars theory, the guy that did the Darth Vader thing.
Which one?
He did this fan film. I guess he didn't do a song, but he did like a fan film for Darth Vader, and he had to talk. He had many discussions with Lucasfilm about how they can do it, and they have to make sure he doesn't get paid from it, and like there's a lot of rules.
Really?
Yeah, apparently he had connects with Lucasfilm because he was gonna do it like pretty legit. And they're like, all right, as long as you don't make any money from it, we're not gonna copyright strike it.
That's pretty interesting, actually. Because I don't know, it's just like, when's the line? Because I've seen so many fan films and I'm sure they profit off of it.
Yeah, I feel like it's unfair. It depends on what it is, but it's almost unfair for something that's so legendary can only be done by whoever owns it at that particular time.
It's interesting, yeah.
I almost feel like Star Wars is for everybody, so you should share.
Right. I mean, it makes sense to a certain degree if you're like screwing over some independent filmmaker who made a superhero and you're copying them by using their hero.
If it's like a ripoff and it's clearly just to hop on a trend and make a buck out of it, I understand.
But when it's like Darth Vader and you want to like explore Darth Vader's origin or some shit.
Yeah, just say that you're not Lucasfilm and then make it, and then if people like that, who cares? You know?
I usually just put in the like description of videos where I use that sort of thing. like I don't own the rights to these characters and this is a parody film or something, because I'm like, if I call it a parody film, like parody films are legal because
parody films are illegal.
No, they're illegal.
Oh, they're legal
because they're a parody. But like, what defines a parody?
It has to be. I feel like it has to be so outlandish that you cannot believe it to be the actual thing.
Right, but like, is a cartoon a parody?
Depends on the cartoon how you do it.
Like, is a comedy cartoon a parody of if it's of Darth Vader, for example?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's weird. It's like, how do you like draw that line between like
where it
is?
is?
Yeah, because you could just be like, my Darth Vader cartoon, it's a parody of Darth Vader, and they're like, no, dude, this is like the exact same as Darth Vader, and it's like it's not like funny. It's like,
see, that's serious. where the courts come in. That's where legal like judges have to decide like, well, would a reasonable human being assume this is a parody? If yes, it's fine.
It's so funny because then they're deciding what's funny and what's not funny.
Pretty much.
What if you genuinely tried to make it funny and it was just dead serious?
It just came across like this is literally just Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Well,
copyright's funky, man.
It's funky. I think anything legal when it comes to art is funky because art in itself has no rules.
It is, and I like I paid for I was making a thumbnail once, and I paid for a part of a background, and I paid for it because I didn't want them to hit me with the copyright. Here's the tram, but then I'm like, how are they gonna know that I'm the one that paid for it? Because like I have a receipt, right? So if they like DM me, I'm like, oh no, I paid for your background photo, like it's all good. But they would have to, like, how would they know that? Like, they would have to message me. They wouldn't just automatically know. Oh yeah, this guy, he bought one.
No, I always assume it's like sometimes I see people like put like a free sample version of their thing, but it's just to say it is the thing itself.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're only allowed to use it if you pay for it. But it's like, all right, someone more devious than me could just take this right now, and just use it, and you have no proof. Or
I guess it's honor system. I guess. Which like when it's like art, I try to do.
If you're doing if you're doing art as an artist, you should respect the honor system.
I try to honor the honor
because you yourself are an artist and can get screwed
with
just
like free PNGs and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Like,
but if it's a non-artist, like they don't care.
But I mean, even if they did hit you up, you could just like buy it like after. Be like, oh sorry, here's $12.
Depends on how much money you got paid for it after you stole it. Because they might be like, no, the price went up now. I want everything. I want a portion of what you made.
Yeah.
And then they get sticky in the courts.
It's interesting. It's very interesting, especially because now we just have so many people who upload things and don't really expect any money from it. There's like a gap between like free use things and then the professional world where you have to pay, but then. I don't know,
there's two types of artists. I feel, and maybe this has been the whole time. Maybe it's just in modern times. But there's the artist that truly just makes art because they just want to one day, and it's completely free. They like seeing when other people use it. It's for the community. Yeah. And then there's artists that want to make it their lifestyle, right? It's what pays for their food and what helps them help other people. They want to make it like their life, a career. And if you want to do that, you have to be paid.
Right, I think it's trying to find... Like, obviously that's the goal for a lot of artists.
I think if you're an artist and you're a living human being, especially in America, that's what you should be doing.
You want to do at least.
It's like, I know, like, when you say it the way I just said it, it makes it sound like you're kind of selling out the art.
Yeah.
But you have to survive in the real world, you know? Art is creating fictitious things, but you do live in a tangible world.
If that's your favorite thing,
you gotta pay for it.
If that's your favorite thing to do, and you can make that your sole source of income, that's awesome.
That's the thing. That's what I learned from some, like, mentors. That you really do, at some point, have to treat your art like it's a job.
Like it's valuable.
It's valuable.
Right, because when you're a kid, it's like, oh, it's just for fun. It's not valuable.
Yeah, and if you want to keep treating it like it's for fun, that's fine. Yeah. Never go into it as a career. Yeah. But if you do want it as a career, you got to make that mental switch. Like, all right, it's fun. I do enjoy it, but I want to get paid from this.
It's interesting.
It's difficult, man. It's weird being an artist. I think just period. Like the artist itself is just.
It's weird. It's very weird because there's so many different like I don't know, parts or like. Yeah, everybody likes to label them as one type of artist.
Exactly.
But I feel like every artist dips their toes into a little bit, like different arts here and there. So, like, you know, if you're a photographer and you make a video, now you're also a videographer.
Yeah.
So, and nobody can take that away from you once you made a video. You're a videographer.
And honestly, I think if you are an artist of any sort, there's no way you're only an artist in one thing.
Yeah.
I think creativity can spread in different places.
Exactly.
You have it.
That's what I'm saying too. Like, and one of the interesting things, you know, moving out here is hearing your friends talk about the different and in class, you know, like at college in Maryland, I had to like, I did have to learn the different roles. You know, like we had specific classes at UMBC that were like, learn about the film world and learn these terms and learn those terms, and there's the assistant director and the director. Mm-hmm. But you know, you don't really like hold on to that too much if you just read it in a book in a class. So coming out here, just hearing everybody like say, oh, this person is the producer and this person's the assistant, blah blah, and da da da. I'm like, oh, what does that guy do? Oh, what does that guy do? Because I'm just kind of used to doing everything on my own.
In a book, or
right? No, or you know, you make movies on your own.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean.
Or with a small group of friends.
No, I know.
So like when we make a movie together, although I might act in your movie, I'm also
we're doing a lot of things.
Assistant director, assistant cinematographer,
occasionally sound.
Right. Oh, Sean, what about that? Like Sean and I, you know, we did a movie not that long ago, Who Avenged Mr. President, and
legendary.
Like, yeah, and Sean was like, he sent me the script. And then, you know, it's probably annoying, but I'm like, oh, Sean, like, add this line in. This would, like, connect all three of them. Like, ooh, do this, like, do that.
Yeah.
Typically, that would probably be annoying as fuck on the sets for directors, but because there's only two of us, I feel like it was kind of...
No, when there's less people, you can get actually more involvement.
Yeah.
Because you can't have 100 chefs in a kitchen, right?
Yeah.
It's the same idea. You gotta... When there's too many people, you guys start, like, cutting people out of the creative process.
It's actually interesting, because just earlier today Lauren was talking about like filming in Erie, Pennsylvania, where she's from, and how she like flew everybody out there. And then she said that one of her friends, Kayla, is also doing a movie or trying to do a movie in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's interesting because you know, on the East Coast, like growing up there, I'm like, oh, this is not where people film movies and stuff like that.
Erie?
Yeah, no, not Erie specifically, but like the East Coast. I mean, I know like movies have been filmed in DC and New York, obviously. I'm just saying, like, there's obviously more film sets in LA than in like, you know, Rockville, Maryland, or whatever. But like, so hearing that she wanted to go to Erie to film, I'm like, that's interesting. But after being out here for a bit, I understand that you need permits and shit to film here, or it's so suspicious, or you get, you know, don't film here, don't film that. So it's kind of weird because now that like Lauren filmed in Erie and that like Kayla's also going to film in Erie, I'm like, is the East Coast like more desirable to film because there's less crackdown on like, you know what I'm saying?
I think it depends on what you're looking for. If you're doing a semi-big film, and I mean big in terms of like the budget, it's expensive.
Yeah.
You need a lot of available resources and people. And I think from where we're from specifically, there's not a lot of people doing film where we're from, and there's not a lot of resources in terms of like already built sets, equipment houses that are nearby that have everything that you need. Like there's not a lot of that.
Yeah.
But if the budget is low enough where you don't want to pay for all these different locations because you can't afford it, the East Coast becomes super valuable.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
super valuable.
You need. Didn't you say I mean, I've already heard multiple stories about people paying like hundreds of dollars to use a restaurant or to use this or
no, exactly. I think the permit alone, right? And that's not
because you have to get a permit for every location.
Exactly. Right? So regardless of if your location was free or not, your permit is going to cost $600.
Yeah. For one location or for
your permit can cover multiple locations.
Okay.
It can. So I think maybe the limit is 5 before you need a new permit. Yeah. But you can cover multiple locations under one permit.
Yeah, but your friends were talking about how expensive it was to film some of these places, and I'm like, wow, it would be cheaper to film on the East Coast a lot of the time. Like, you're not going to have the resources and the people that are all doing film like on the East Coast, but I mean, Sean did multiple like movies, like, you know, while he was still.
I shot a lot in Maryland, and I shot a lot here in California, especially Los Angeles specifically.
But you would come back to Maryland, and you'd be able to use so many places for free. I mean, quote unquote free, because
free, nobody's bothering you.
Right, no better to ask forgiveness than permission. And I got kicked out of like one place in Maryland. Like,
yeah, honestly, I saw that you were kind of shocked about it, but I was so like, oh, this is the usual.
I was so shocked. I got kicked out of a gazebo because I was using. And I thought it was like a public park, but I guess it wasn't.
I guess it never was.
She came out of nowhere. She's like, "Yo, do you have a permit to film here?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? This is Maryland."
Yeah,
like, what?
It's for free.
Yeah, I'd never gotten kicked out of a filming location before.
Yeah, man, we've shot everywhere. We shot near.
Actually, you know what?
What?
When we shot Inception, we shot this like Inception trailer way back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
This was like how many years ago? Like it had to be like 7 years ago. It has
to be at least 7 years ago now.
Yeah. And I think we got like warned about filming at Rio, which is just a location.
We did?
I don't think they like full on kicked us out, but I think they were like, hey, you can't be filming in this exact spot or something. I vaguely remember. But it's rare. It's not nearly as frequent.
Maybe it's because it was a slightly fancier area. Like the nicer the area, the more it must be private.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or privately owned.
Yeah, something like that.
No, but we've shot in like a lot of weird places. We even shot near the hospital, which is like a huge
we've shot like in front of hospitals. We've shot behind warehouses. Like
we shot underground next to trains
in
and like
garages,
store buildings.
Yeah. Well, that location for Who Avenged Mr. President is perfect because just like in the middle of a neighborhood, like, and nobody really walks down that path unless they probably live on the other side.
Or they're sus.
Right. It's like that's a good spot because it's not super public or super. I mean, it's a public area, but it's not.
There's not a lot of people that are gonna bother you if you're doing something. Yeah. And if they see you, they're actually gonna respect you doing your thing. They're not gonna like, you know.
But I can see why here you would then be sort of restricted to filming in like one room, because either you're filming in your own apartment or you're filming in a room that you paid a lot of money for.
And even then, technically speaking, you're supposed to still get a permit for your own apartment.
What?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I shit you not.
You have to pay extra to film in your own apartment.
Yeah, because the idea is if it's your apartment, there might be building rules that you're not supposed to film there. So you have to get a bunch of permissions. And
that makes no sense.
Because your filming might interrupt other people, and if you use too many lights, there's something with the electricity, and there's just a lot of BS.
This is so ridiculous to me. Okay, like I don't get it. Like, if I was, even when I got kicked out of the gazebo in Maryland, like, if I was there, like, I've seen hella people take photos there for prom, like, that went to our high school back in the day, and I was like, okay, so there's no problem with being here publicly. But I think it's just, like, people don't care about iPhones. Like, if you're filming with an iPhone, people will not tell you anything.
Same rule here.
Yeah, but if you have a Canon or, like, anything, you probably have, like, even if you have like a bad camera like that you've had for years and it just doesn't look like an iPhone, they'd probably give you shit.
Yeah, my professor said that you can get away with your phone because everyone has a phone taking pictures or whatever. And then if you have a camera, you're starting to get a little risky. But he said once you put a tripod down, that's the key. If you have a tripod down, then it looks like you're filming. Because, like, why do you need a...
But you're filming either way. It's so absurd.
No, it's so...
It makes no sense. It's like, there's such a shyness to being on camera in today's world. But everybody's always on camera anyway, because iPhones...
Exactly. You're on cameras all the time.
But when it's like a camera, everybody's like, yo, what is that? Like, I remember sometimes there would be, at the malls at home and stuff, like... some reason there would be some camera just shooting like what's it called, like maybe like a time passing shot of something, and there's people walking back and forth or they're documenting something. And when there were those cameras, you know what I'm talking about? Like they would set up like cameras with tripods in like public locations and just film. They would do this like at
like the little time lapses.
Yeah, it's like time lapse or something they're doing. And it's like it looks very official,
or like
very
like school area to study too.
Maybe
like some kind of like 2 hour thing.
Exactly. And even when those are set up, people are like, "What is this?" Like, whoa, they're recording me. I'm like, yo, you know how many people already probably recorded you today? Like,
bro.
Like they're not gonna like pause the video and like circle you and like I don't know.
No, exactly. Like you're not. Like, yeah, you're not special. Everyone's getting recorded all the time. Okay, don't be freaked out by it. Just live your life, and yeah, it's like nobody cares.
You know what I always think about? I wonder how long it takes them to get a good time lapse that people aren't constantly looking at the camera.
If you shoot for a long enough time lapse, you won't even notice faces anymore. So.
Oh, okay.
Because it's only taking like one still per every however long.
But so many people like what I'm talking about, like glance back or like turn their heads. So I'm like, what if people are just doing that constantly? The time lapse would kind of suck. It wouldn't look very cinematic if people are like turning around to like look into your lens all the time. But I guess like a lot of times people might look at it, but if they're walking straight forward and it's really fast, you might not notice they're looking at the camera or something.
No, yeah, exactly. So, it's this is a very weird city because you assume as like a filmmaker, this is the filmmaking homeland. That here you can become the greatest filmmaker because everyone's out here or whatever. Yeah. But then you come here and this is the one city that doesn't want you to shoot at all.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like you pull up here and people are like, all right, let's go back to the East Coast to film.
Let's leave here actually to go film somewhere else.
Right, it's better to film where they're not filming a lot of things because you don't have to pay as much.
Yeah, I think maybe that's because of like long time ago when Hollywood was just starting to kind of pick itself up and started looking like this is the city of all filmmaking.
Yeah,
it just attracted so many filmmakers that would just come in and like shut down streets to shoot their movie or just do whatever. That the people that actually just live there day to day was like, this is annoying. We need to stop all filmmakers from like.
I feel like here there's always like an office or a person that you can talk to get a filming location, and that's like very normal. Like restaurants are used to getting people probably being like, hey, can we film here? And they're like, yeah, sure, $600 for 2 hours after 8 p.m. Like that's chill here. But if you did that on the East Coast, people would be like, what the what?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let me ask my manager. And the manager's like, what's going on? The manager walks in, what's going on? Like, they want to film here? Like, huh?
What is this?
And then you might be able to work out a deal, but it's like nothing's on the books.
There's nothing on the books.
Nothing's on the
Whereas
books.
here, a lot of restaurants actually just have websites. So you can just do it right off of their website, get your permit, everything, location.
It's convenient, I'll give it that. You definitely gotta it's definitely weirder to ask on like the East
That's
Coast,
the thing.
But
On one side, everything here is already set up, right? The resources are already there.
Yeah.
But it's also more expensive because they have the infrastructure.
Right.
So you go a place with no infrastructure, you can do a little bit more BSing, that guerrilla filmmaking. Yeah. But you lose, the security, I guess.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If you want your stuff to be good, just pay for it, man.
It's weird though. Or go to the East Coast, I will say, because we have so many shots, this, that. I guess you can always still ask your friends if you want to film at their apartments and houses and stuff like that. And that's actually something I haven't really mentioned, is that the reason it's so convenient too is because we have friends with houses on the East Coast. Like everybody here in LA is like, most of them at least aren't living with their families. They are here for school, so they have apartments. But to get a house to film in, you kind of want to be where you grew up.
Yeah.
Because you have friends from school.
You have actual suburban neighborhoods, not just people coming into the city, doing whatever, and then leaving.
Right. Or if you grew up in LA, I'm sure you know people that went to school with you that either live outside of LA or have a house here. Yeah. Ooh, their basement would be perfect for this. Let's do that. So it's actually, I guess it is always about connections. So if you have connections out here, maybe.
I shot one film where this guy who was the director had a longtime girlfriend who had a friend who was a local to LA. Yeah. So they had a big, nice house somewhere in the more Rocky Canyon desert area.
There you go.
And it was a great location. Yeah. It was a great location. But that's the thing. He was the only one of us in that film friend group that wasn't stuck to apartments and apartment buildings and leasing managers.
Yeah. I can't remember. Did Rodrigo say that he got a permit for the desert or not?
I don't know why. Low key, and I don't know. All right, I don't know anything, but I feel like he didn't.
He did. I thought he said he did, but I can't remember. We'll have to ask him.
Yeah.
But I'm curious because so he just shot a Western in the desert.
Yeah.
Which I'm curious if you need permits for.
You probably, because he also shot in it looked like a Western location, like not just the desert, but buildings and structures.
Somebody might own the desert, right? But if you can get away with it, you're not gonna why would you?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna look for the landowner.
Yeah, no. If you can try to get away with it, and you really need it, I think you should just go ahead and try.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There are parts of the desert where their owners, they're watching. They know where you're at.
They're like, ooh, they want to film on my rock.
Exactly.
Nah, I know that rock anywhere.
That's a good question. I think maybe he had an agreement with the owner and was able to set something under the table a little bit, because I know he had a lot of issues with trying to figure out the permits with the school.
That's tricky too, because you also need a place that has at least some civilization in case you run out of gas or
because when you shoot a movie, right, you're running a small business with 6 to 7 people minimum, right? They all have to be fed. They all need access to the bathroom. They all have medical needs that need to be attended to. They all need to sleep.
Exactly.
These are all, you need to actually be near some kind of civilization.
Yeah, I know you said they had an RV out there, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. I think he said something about he rented out one hotel room for cast and maybe some key crew, and then he also had some tents to do camping, and he was out there camping with
But I bet the desert is a little bit more free roam than the city. I'm sure it is.
It definitely is.
Yeah,
definitely is.
Yeah, I wonder.
But also so far from civilization, so it's a give and a take.
Yeah,
that's another thing. How do you shoot? I'm sure they have some kind of system about power, but you need to turn your lights on with some kind of outlet.
That's what I was thinking too. Maybe he had outlets in the RV.
But it depends, I guess, because lights are pretty hefty on electricity, and that would drain a RV pretty quick.
Yeah, but you gotta do what you gotta do.
You do gotta do what you gotta do. I'm just saying, if you have a huge,
battery
super
packs.
megawatt light or something,
they were wireless lights. Battery powered lights.
Yeah, and then you just charge it before you leave to location.
Yeah.
But then they stay at location. That's the thing, because he said that.
Well, he said they had the hotel. They probably could have charged them at the hotel.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
But there's a lot of money still, the hotel and all this stuff.
That's what I mean. Just shooting the movie alone is one budget, and then you got to think about the budget of taking care of more than 5 people for however many days you're shooting for, right? All their needs are.
That's the other thing. It's so official out here when you're doing a movie. I feel like at home we're just we're messing around. We have 5 homies that we've known since kindergarten, that are filming with us, and they're all just happy to be there, having a good time. But sometimes when it's more official, it's no, you need to provide meals for these actors, and we would still go eat at home, but it was so much more casual. It was a casual film shoot versus official. That's kind of.
No, ours are a lot more casual, and also I think it's because we had smaller crews, and our crews and our act, we all knew each other. We grew up together, so it's not such a big deal. But some people out here, they're now being hired for their jobs.
Yes,
and when you're hired, you have needs that have to be tended to.
Right.
So it's just it's different when you reach a certain
Right, it's I'd love to come and do this just as a chill thing, but also I got rent to pay and.
Right, now you have needs. You're not just a kid that can just be at your parents' place and there's no problems. You have rent.
Right, it's really not only East Coast versus West Coast, but it's more so just childhood versus adulthood, I guess.
Exactly. It's that switching from a fun thing or a hobby to a professional thing. This is what I want to do for life, to feed myself and to be happy and go on vacation. So, and that line is challenging. When you're trying to cross over, because you don't want to lose the fun, because then you're not going to want to do it professionally. But then again, if you want to do it professionally, you do have to treat it a little bit more seriously.
Yeah, that's true. If you can't tell, I lost my voice, or I'm losing my voice. I can't tell.
I just want to say you're becoming a man.
I'm finally going through puberty.
Your testicles have dropped.
It's about time.
You're ready to go.
I'm only 22.
Get him out there.
I'm late. I'm a late bloomer.
Real late.
My voice was so high before. There. No, I feel like I'm a true bass now. I feel like where I was a baritone before. This is not the first time I've sort of had like a sort of like vocal issue for over a month long.
I was gonna say you're sounding kind of hoarse.
I think maybe it really is the sand in the air,
that desert air.
Because I'm just just mostly been in Maryland all the time.
But here's the thing, though, it did shockingly rain 2 weeks ago.
That's true. There's finally water in the air for once.
So the desert should have kind of settled, and it's a little bit more regular air for right now.
Yeah, I should get it checked out because I feel like it's just been so long now. But it just started getting hoarse though, like my voice. It wasn't like this before.
It sounds like maybe your voice is just tired of you coughing.
Yeah.
It's just like I'm sick of this, and you need to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
Maybe there's like a medication or something. You just gotta lotion your vocal cords or something.
Lotion my vocal cords. I like it.
That sounds kind of nice, right? Lotion your vocal cords.
Yeah, maybe I should get like a soothing drink for them or something. That might be good. But I definitely sound just different.
No, you sound kind of whack. Sound kind of whack. But I think it's fun. Think about it like this. This is this is you transitioning into your new body.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
I'm transforming into L.A. Kevin from Maryland Kevin.
Exactly. L.A. Kevin.
And L.A. Kevin doesn't have the same voice as Maryland Kevin.
Sounds a lot. Not the same.
It sounds a lot more like he's just sick all the time.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Yeah.
Can I talk to you about something real quick?
What?
There's this thing that's been on my mind for the past couple of days, just because I've been seeing it a lot in other people.
Were you waiting for the podcast to bring this up?
No. No, I was not waiting for the podcast to bring it up. I think I brought it up outside of the podcast, but I felt like this might be a good topic for the podcast. I was like, let me see if I want to bring it up, and now I want to bring it up. I had this thought in my mind that I wanted to share, and it was the fact that people feel like they owe things to other people when they don't.
Okay, like what?
Let's say you have this, let's say us, for example, right? We've been friends for a very long time, and maybe after such a long friendship, I start feeling like...
You know that you still owe me all your lunch money, right?
See, right then and there. Right then and there. And
you still owe me.
Because we have this relationship, I feel like I have to owe you something.
Okay.
But that's not true. In fact, I never feel like I have to owe you anything. And I still give things to you. I think you give things back to me, but that's when it's healthy, when you don't feel like you have to.
Wait, you're saying are you saying that in LA there's more of that? There's more people feeling like they have to owe?
Yes.
Oh.
I think in Los Angeles there's a lot more of...
You scratch my back, I scratch yours.
Right, but instead of doing it honestly, it's more like you have to give me this now because I did this one thing for you. So you owe me.
Or is that an LA thing or is that like a business world thing? Because I feel like it is more. I don't know. When there's money involved, it becomes much more like that, right?
Maybe
it's much more. It's like
maybe it's just in general all industries thing. Yeah. But here, especially because I feel like people are so opportunistic here. Yeah. It's like they'll really take you for everything you have if you give them a little inch. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's weird because you want to help people out. Like if you're making a movie and your friend can do a job, it's like why not let that friend do that job? That's how the network works here. Like it's really about knowing someone. Yeah. So it's kind of weird. It's kind of like let me know you.
Yeah, exactly. Let it kind of come a little more naturally because I feel like in that same situation where it's like it's who you know, you will get your friends kind of jobs and your friends will get you jobs type of thing. Sometimes it gets to a point where you're doing something just because you're doing it and it makes you happy or just that's the situation that you're in and your friends are like, oh, you owe me this slot so you have to do something for me, and then
you owe me this slot. I have not heard that yet. That would be interesting.
Really?
You owe me this slot? No, because I'm just going like I feel like you make the plans and I'm just like, all right, let's do it. You know what I'm saying?
For the ride.
No,
I've seen an occasion where it's like the good people feel like they owe people everything.
the good people feel like they owe people everything. Oh, yeah, because they're so giving. They're the good people, right?
But sometimes it's too much. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's too much.
It's all
there has to be a boundary there at some point.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think it's kind of like it is a you scratch my back, I scratch yours industry, but once you start counting, that's when it like gets bad. Because like, you know, say your friend gets you 2 jobs, you get them 1 job, and then your friend's like, you're not pulling enough weight. It's like, come on, like, what are you gonna count every time? Right,
you're not doing enough.
I think if you're like blatantly, it's kind of like the same concept as like how celebrities don't really want to be approached here. Like, you don't want to go up to a celebrity and be like, can I have a job? Right?
Yeah.
No, you don't. Yeah. But
I mean, but also,
you should kind of.
You low-key kind of do.
Yeah, you want to, but you probably shouldn't, right? Yeah. I guess if you really need a job, you can ask your friends. But I feel like if your friends find a job that they think would be good for you, or they have one available, they'll let you know. It's better just to have good friendships than to be constantly asking anybody for a connection. Because like everybody's looking for connections. I think they'll naturally show up eventually, but I don't know. It just takes a little time to build a network and to scratch enough people's backs.
Maybe that's the thing. I think maybe people are too focused on getting things out of their friendships instead of realizing one of the keys to this business is just make meaningful friendships.
Yeah. That's my thing. That's my thing. Like,
and it will automatically give you everything.
I mean, if I met someone and they're like, "Hey, nice to meet you. You got any jobs open?" I'm like, "Yo, what?" Like, nice to meet you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I would never do that. It just feels weird.
It's so strange, dude. I there was some people back in Maryland where like if they catch that I'm in Maryland for a split second, they'll be like, "Yo, it's so cool that you're back in Maryland. So I have the script. You want to read it?" I'm like, dude, all due respect.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you're their connection. But yeah, maybe if it was a close friend though.
If it's a real close friend and we have a meaningful
friendship,
friendship,
I'll always hear me out about the script, and you're like, yo, blah blah blah. And it's like, oh, I like your idea. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's interesting though. I feel like I never thought to do something like that because I always just thought, oh, someone's angry.
Yeah, city getting kind of rough out here.
I feel like I never thought, let me write a script and then try to pitch it. I feel like I always thought, if I write a script, I'm gonna make the movie myself. Do you know what I'm saying?
I see what you mean.
But that's also because I'm not like somebody who's constantly writing, for example, either. You know?
Yeah, there's some people that are just
right. Writing. If you're just a writer, I get it. No shame.
And you need
that's what you're gonna do. Yeah. It makes sense. But for me, usually when I write something, I don't think I've ever pitched something I wrote to you.
I think you have.
Like to make a movie?
Didn't you just pitch me a short or a little short animation that you wanted to do?
I pitched you one that I wanted to do myself, but I didn't pitch it like I wrote this, you make it.
Okay, yeah, I guess.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like no, I've run my ideas by you, but I've never written a script and been like, "Hey Sean, can you make my script a movie?" Because I would just make that movie myself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Again, I'm not trying to hate on writers. I get it. Like,
I've done that a few times, and if you're cool with me, if we have a meaningful friendship first, I always want to read it and see if I can bring something out of it or do something with it.
Yeah.
But if we don't have the meaningful friendship out the gate, I don't really want to hear it.
Right. and also
go make it yourself.
You know, it is so interesting too that director. I always thought it was kind of weird how directors and writers are just like listed in like completely different sections on IMDb. I mean, I get it, but I feel like the director really should work very closely to the writer. I don't like this idea of the writer just like selling their script and then never touching it again, because I feel like when it's a good script and it's creating a world, you need to know the rules of the world. And so if you're the director and you're taking somebody else's script a lot of the time, so it's like you need the writer there to like help you figure it out.
Well, here's the thing. At some point, because some writers, actually a lot of writers, I know a lot of writers that cannot deal with the politics of shooting something. Because as a director, you're talking to the producers, making sure that the money's all lined up and there's nothing too tricky, and you can figure out the day of schedule and the shooting. And you got to deal with talking to the actors and making sure that you're all in sync. You're allowing them to perform, but you're also making sure that it follows the through line of the story. There's just a lot more at play when you're a director, where you're just a writer and the world is literally yours. You create the bones. There's no one you have to talk to.
That's very true.
So
it's interesting. It's interesting because like you're not writing it as a book though. You're writing it as a movie.
Right. It's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be that.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be you write it and then you sell it and then you never touch it again.
Yeah.
For a lot of writers, anyway.
Especially with ownership, because you know. One issue that happens a lot with films is that because the writer kind of gives the script off and the rest is not on them, they kind of lose ownership of the movie. It becomes the director's movie or the studio's movie.
But that's why so many movies end up so bad.
The actor's
because they change the script and then it doesn't make sense.
But sometimes the script is ass and the director makes it better.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
I wouldn't advise buying a script that's ass in the first place if they could avoid it.
Sometimes there's some bones in there that you're like, I can work with this if you give me writing,
Speaking about good movies and bad movies, let's talk about James Bond. So Sean and I have been on a binge. I would say it started with because we were watching The Incredibles back. And the spy music.
I don't think it goes that far back.
I would say personally it does, because the reason I wanted to listen to spy music in the car...
It was because of The Incredibles?
It was because I love The Incredibles soundtrack.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So I wanted to listen to spy music on the way home one day. I put on spy soundtrack. So we started talking about spies.
You did the most foul thing when you skipped that one playlist and went to the other.
I'm sorry.
That was wrong.
But anyway, so we then started listening to like James Bond or something, and we're like, yo, I'm curious, like I don't remember which one of us said this, but we were curious about the intros.
I think we jointly kind of went into like we wanted to see the intros.
Yeah,
which James Bond movie had the top.
Right.
Intro.
They're famous for these like cool intros and these like super
with like turning the gun and shooting it and
these like
the
cool
naked
music.
women and the music
and the film noir sort of lighting
exactly and the weird like
so Sean
there's such weird positions
and shapes and and so we're like, yo, let's watch all of them. So we found like a YouTube video and watched them all back.
It was like 2 hours.
And the best one,
Skyfall.
It's like not even close.
It's like not even a sometimes there's like a close number 2, 3 and like I might have to give it to 1. It's not even like that. It's clearly Skyfall.
And then we were so inspired because I think we said we were going to watch the movie of the best one, which we now have done. But because a lot of the Daniel Craig intros were the best ones anyway, we're like, let's just watch the Daniel Craig James Bond movies like back. And we've seen a few of them like years ago, but didn't really remember.
Yeah, like I have a loose memory of coming out of my King Kong movie, and then going over with my dad to see the James Bond movie.
Yeah.
And all I remember is like flashes and images of like somebody drowning in like suits. And, I was so young.
Everybody has like, I feel like the same, maybe not the exact same, but like the same like sort of concept of these intros in their mind if they've seen one.
Yeah, exactly.
And for me, it was Skyfall because that was the first one, the first James Bond movie I saw, I think, in theaters, maybe in general. Just so weird that it also happened to be the best one. I don't think it's nostalgia because I really don't remember the movie that much. Like,
I don't think it's nostalgia either because like we've seen all of them now,
except for No Time to Die.
That's coming up.
We're gonna watch that very soon.
Yeah, but we've seen pretty much all of them, and we kind of gave all of them like a nice, fair judgment.
I would say
and it's just so clear that Skyfall took its time.
Yeah,
they thought about what they wanted to do and they executed.
So what we were saying was weird was that like Casino Royale. Okay, so the order is like Casino Royale is the first one, Quantum of Solace is the second one, Skyfall is the third one, Spectre is the fourth one, and then No Time to Die is the last one, the fifth one. And so
the Daniel Craig era.
Of the Daniel Craig era, yeah. And so we watched Casino Royale, which is like a prequel to James Bond. It's like just after he gets his license to kill. Like, honestly,
if the other Daniel Craig movies didn't exist, you could take this and be like, oh, this is a prequel for all the past James Bond movies.
Right. So, and I'm still trying to understand, but from what I understood, the James Bond movies were all connected, but from doing a little bit of research, I think it's clear now that the Daniel Craig ones are sort of a reboot and not connected. But anyway, the first one was like, yeah, it was James Bond before he was James Bond, and you sort of learn why he kind of loses all emotion and becomes this like killing machine, I guess. Yeah. And then Quantum of Solace was literally takes place an hour after like
Casino
Royale, which was cool. I liked it. It didn't get great reviews though. The second one.
The reviews weren't great, but in my opinion, they're kind of like two halves of a coin.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I feel like they're both kind of the same quality, and they both feed off of the same story.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they wouldn't.
But then they jumped to freaking Skyfall, which now he's like a disheveled old spy.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't get like James Bond in his prime. You get like James Bond as a rookie, and then like for first two movies, it's like the same day basically.
Rookie James Bond.
Yeah, and then they jump to him when he's like washed up in his career in Skyfall. That being said, Skyfall is kind of disconnected from the story of the first two, which the first two is very connected in story. And Skyfall you could watch solely on its own, and it makes complete sense.
No, there's clearly an idea that they wanted to expand on in the first two films. But then who's this villain that's lurking in the shadows, and how are they related to Bond and everything?
Yeah. So, but then Skyfall just like kind of comes up with their own villain.
Skyfall was like, you know what? Forget.
Didn't mention the organization in the first two.
Not even once. I think did they mention even any of the events. I feel from the first two.
Yeah.
It's completely standalone.
And then in Spectre, they try to like act like all three of the movies were like deeply connected,
but they weren't.
They're like, it was all the same organization. It's like, no, it wasn't.
No, it comes off because I feel like sometimes people can subtly retcon things and it fits and it works, but here it's like clearly you didn't think this through the other three times, and you're trying to bring it all together now.
Yeah, exactly. And so Spectre tried to do the same thing the Rise of Skywalker tried to do to like all the Star Wars. Like, it was the Emperor the whole time. Like, no, it wasn't.
I was all of the voices inside your head.
Oh my gosh, literally the bad guy, it's Christopher, what's his name?
Christoph Waltz.
Christoph Waltz is the villain in Spectre. Yeah. He literally has the reverse Flash monologue.
It was me, James.
He literally goes, it was me, James. It was me for all those years. Like, I tortured you.
I got all those different people to mess with you, and I knew that was going to be your mission.
And so,
so you can fall in love and get hurt. And it's like,
I'm like, dude,
what?
James Bond is just like a spy. Like, he's not like...
He's one of at least 7 other spies.
Yeah,
you know?
No, 9 others. Or 8 others.
Because we saw
there are 9.
There's 009.
Yeah, so there's 9 of them. So he's one of 9.
You're one of 9 spies. And like...
Yeah, and so I'm like, this is like the ultra villain, just so happens to be this closely connected to James Bond. But that makes James Bond sound like he's the center of the universe, which, like, in the James Bond movies, James Bond's supposed to be the main character, but he works for like a big organization. It just seems ridiculous to me that the main villain that's been causing him problems this whole movie is so closely related to him that he is the reason that these terrorist attacks are happening.
It almost sounds like a child came up with this and was like, oh my god, what if the worst villain in the world, like, you know, is causing all this torture around the world, like the worst person is just you know, that person for James Bond. And
it's ridiculous.
What?
It's absolutely absurd. I didn't like, and they were the terrorist organization. Sure, it was connected in the first 2 movies, I guess,
but it was a different one this time.
But then in Skyfall, it was completely unrelated as far as I could tell.
They try to pretend like, no, they're kind of the same. It's like, no. They're no.
I would still recommend watching the first 3, but I wouldn't.
I actually would recommend that you skip the 4th.
Yeah, skip Spectre.
There's no value, I think, brought from it. The only thing of value is
the intro. The intro visuals are cool.
I think the visuals for the intro are cool, but it's not.
The Sam Smith song.
It's not Skyfall.
Yeah, the Sam Smith song doesn't quite work.
Also, I might even like the intros from the other 2 films more than this one.
So this is a prime example of when you can judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, no, we judged it by the intro, and we saw that it's clearly lacking compared to the Skyfall coming right before it. And the movie is it played out even worse, I think, than what the intros give it for.
That's what I'm saying. It's like we literally called it that Skyfall was the best one.
Yeah.
And then Skyfall was the best movie, at least that we've seen
so far. So, I mean, there's still a chance that No Time to Die will surprise us and will be the most thoughtful, heartwarming James Bond film ever made. But I don't. I think it might have blown.
I'm excited. It has better reviews than Spectre. Spectre and Quantum of Solace both have the worst reviews, but Quantum of Solace just felt like the other side of, like you said, the other side of Casino Royale to me.
Yeah, no, Quantum of Solace is solid. Spectre's ass. I'm willing to say that.
It just felt it just felt a lot. I do think a good comparison is Rise of Skywalker. Like, you know the story behind Rise of Skywalker, how like J.J. Abrams was fighting with Ryan, what's his name?
Ryan Johnson. And then Disney was fighting with both of them.
Right. And so, J.J. Abrams like, all right, I want to only direct one because I don't want it just to be my story. Here you go, Ryan. I'm handing you the reins, but here are some blueprints, like the Knights of Ren and all this stuff.
Here's what I think you should focus on.
Right. And then Ryan Johnson's like, who the fuck do you think you're talking to? I made Looper. Do you know who I am?
Yeah.
And he literally doesn't look at J.J. Abrams' book of like handcrafted love.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
And he just literally throws it in the toilet and takes a shit all over it. And then he goes, you know what? Right? Just because you insulted me with that, JJ, thinking I'm not a filmmaker, I am going to do the exact opposite of what everybody expected. That will be good storytelling.
Yeah, what's the quote that he has? Subverting expectations.
So he's like, you know what? You thought Luke was going to take in this lightsaber so epically? Nah. He throws that shit off a mountain. And you know what? You thought Luke Skywalker is going to be all like humble and old and wise? Nah. He's just like this guy who's just like, you don't even recognize him. He's even Mark Hamill, I'm sure like a lot of people.
I saw a lot of interviews of Mark Hamill being like, look guys,
roasting it. Yeah.
It's off my hands. Yeah. Like, don't look, this is not what I wanted.
Right. The whole thing with Snoke, like, him building him up to be a big character. He's like,
oh, you thought Snoke was special?
No, I'm killing him off for no reason. Like, and then, oh, you thought Rey's parents were someone? Nah. Her parents were literally no one. And that's the whole point now.
It's like, and I've seen them all three back to back in the last couple of months. It's clear that in the first one they are teasing Rey's origin, that there's something special there.
Yeah. And also you can talk about the sort of romances that were teed up too that never really like got delved into.
Finn and Rey, man.
But I mean, then you get back to Rise of Skywalker, and the Knights of Ren, I think were just completely ignored in The Last Jedi. But like Rise of Skywalker, I like how J.J. Abrams like, oh my god, I only have one movie to fix this mess that Ryan J.J. would not have come back if he liked the second one. I guarantee you. Like if he liked the director, like in the product of whatever the second one was.
I think what happened. I think actually Disney called him and was like, please
help, right? Because like so like. He was like, all right, oh my god, where'd my Knights of Ren go? Okay, I don't have time. I wish I did, but I'm just going to throw them in this one scene.
I was going to say, I think they're worse in the third one than they actually are in the first one, where they just have that one shot.
And he's like, what do I do about Snoke? He's just like dead. Okay. The Emperor has been making a bunch of Snokes the whole time.
It's like, bro, wait, and what?
Yeah.
Bro,
yeah.
what?
And what else? What else did I miss? Oh, yeah. I set up Rey's, like, parents. Oh, my gosh. The Emperor is Rey's grandpa.
Of course.
Like, you telling me the Emperor really had a wife?
Emperor was getting busy. I mean, you saw him running the Empire.
I guess he was the Emperor. Like, the Emperor had a new groove.
Concubines? Is that what they're called?
I don't know.
I think they're called concubines, when it's like you have like women around you just to like sleep with them and have heirs.
Yeah, I wonder who. See, they never really told us who's Rey's, like. So, oh my gosh. So that was the whole point. They literally go, JJ's like, who are Rey's parents? And then Ryan Johnson's like, no one. And then JJ comes back and he's like, no one. Because they wanted to be no one.
Exactly.
Because they had to be no one. You see, they would have been killed by the Emperor because the kids of the Emperor didn't want to like live this
it's like okay, life. JJ, that don't make no damn sense.
Like I just love them.
What are you talking
I actually can enjoy watching them back because it's just a battle of like the directors. It's hilarious.
I will say it gives value in that sense of like this is what happens when you make a trilogy with switching leadership all the time.
Yeah. And hey, again, the first one, it had the same thing. The first original trilogy. I mean, you know, George Lucas didn't quite know where he was going, and that's when you.
No, but you see, when George was, because George had control of the storyline.
That's
for all
true.
Those first 6.
That's true. At least,
and you can tell that there's definitely an idea he had from beginning to end.
That's true. There was an idea. Obviously, some stuff.
I mean, he definitely developed it as he was making it.
Like Luke and Leia.
Yeah.
Like Darth Vader being the father.
Like Darth Vader being a Jedi beforehand and then falling. Like, he clearly had ideas that he just wanted to follow through.
And you're right. There was one guy behind it, which I think really helped it. I think there not being one guy behind Star Wars really...
Especially on the writing, because I know George Lucas didn't direct all of the original trilogy.
Yeah.
But he's a storyteller. He's the writer.
Well, he didn't write the dialogue, though, did he not? I think he didn't.
I don't think he wrote the dialogue, but he wrote the story.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he's the, what's it called? Is it the story writer?
Something.
The story is
screenplay or screen.
You know, the story is by him.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So, but with these 3, the story is by the director.
Yeah.
So
at least it feels that way. I'm sure they didn't write it on their own, but
I think Rian Johnson literally wrote that one.
It felt like he had a vendetta against J.J. Abrams. Yeah. It really felt that way.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got distracted with Star Wars because.
We're supposed to talk about James Bond. 2 very similar movies, but
speaking of like all these like fictional characters. James Bond just like is Batman.
Yeah, like
Mans is just Batman. Like,
he has an Alfred.
He's an orphan. He has an Alfred.
He has a Joker.
He
might even have 2.
He has 2 Jokers.
Yeah,
like, and they didn't need to. Silva and Hans
Blofeld.
Oberhauser. Was it like Oberhauser?
He said his name was Blofeld.
That was his new name.
Yeah.
His like original name was like
Hans. Which I think it's a reference.
Oberhauser, something like that. It's probably a reference to the old James Bond movies or something. Yeah. That's the thing. It's also confusing. There's like a little bit of lore that's kind of like.
I think out of all of them, Spectre's the one where it's like there's a lot of lore that you have to already know about. Walking into that.
But not everybody going into a James Bond movie has seen like Sean Connery movies or
like 20 other James Bond films.
Exactly. But they do a good job of like, especially in Skyfall, of like having things that are obviously classic throwbacks, like a gun with a car with guns.
Yeah.
But making it cool still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think Skyfall did the best job of just taking the clearly iconic parts of James Bond and putting it in, but still leaving him open enough to it, like for a new audience that hasn't seen any James Bond.
Which is weird because it's the same director.
Yeah, I don't know why. That's why I think it's not his fault, because I think it is kind of directed well. I think
was it
Sam Mendes? Sam Mendes, because he did a fantastic. He might have made the best Bond film.
Yeah, Skyfall's so epic.
Yeah, at least it's definitely number 1 in Daniel Craig era, and it might be one of the best.
Like, if getting Skyfall means we have to get Spectre, I still take that deal.
No, I still take that. I think the highs of Skyfall are higher than the lows of Spectre.
I agree.
So, but there's clearly a different. I think there's a different writer, and then it just doesn't come across the same.
I guess like they've just made so many Bond movies, like MGM has, that they've already covered the prime era of Bond's life. It's just so weird to me that and
given
Casino Royale and Quantum, are the beginning, and then Skyfall is the end of his career, and Spectre's like the end of his career, like he's old.
Yeah,
like, where's the middle?
There's just no. If you want the middle, go back to the Sean Connery ones and just stick him in there.
I guess.
Just assume that he is James Bond.
But I don't think it would work perfectly. But I don't think it's meant to. I think it's kind of like a spiritual origin and a spiritual
ending. Conclusion.
Yeah. We delved deep into, like, we're not like James Bond heads. We literally just like,
I don't know, man.
We are, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Daniel Craig is so good as a James Bond.
Yeah.
Because I will say, I don't think his version is like the definitive, like, this is what people think of when they think of James Bond. But the way he portrays him is just like, wow. Yeah. I'm like interested in this character. I really want to explore James Bond.
No, same. I know all the characters' names now where I didn't before.
Exactly.
I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't have called us like Bond heads or something. What are Bond fans called? Like bondages?
I hope not. I'm not walking around calling myself a bondage. That sounds like a bad idea.
That pun was just right there.
I understand. I understand that you want to... Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. But no, I'm not walking around saying I'm a bondage. I'm with the bondages. Bond lovers? Bond girls?
Bond.
You know, actually, like, it's like an actual term to call all the women that he sleeps with in these movies just Bond girls.
Is that what they're called?
It just seems so, like, I don't want to say demeaning, but, like...
I mean, James Bond kind of is demeaning. I mean, the concept is very, like, the male gaze. I'm
not gonna lie, James Bond movies are clearly designed for men.
Yeah.
Like, it's clearly, like, the audience is men.
But it's weird because I feel like, I'm sure these movies are better than, like, the Sean Connery ones of the 1960s.
For sure.
Because, like, they try, obviously, to, you know, be, like, up to modern standards.
Yeah, the first intro, the Casino Royale intro, had no naked women in it.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, it made it worse. It made it much, much worse.
That is a thing we noticed.
And then they brought it back.
When we watched them all back.
Yeah.
Like, I think Casino Royale was the first one without a naked woman.
Yeah.
And I was surprised at how many of them were in the earlier ones. I was like, I thought there was some, like, movie code of conduct or something that would have, like,
I was like, isn't there, like, rules against having, because sometimes you can actually see, like
boobs.
Yeah, boobs.
Like,
you know, ass.
like uncensored. Like, yeah.
So you can see some of it in some of these shots, but I guess they didn't really care. It's James Bond, you know, you gotta sleep with the women. And he's a dog.
They definitely still kept that in the movie. I feel like there's still that for sure.
They still kept it in the movie, but I feel like if this is what they're keeping here in, like, the modern era...
You know what they might have, like... The way they might have tried to sort of come to terms with it in their minds is by having James fall for the woman sometimes too.
Yeah,
that's what he
this
does.
James Bond in this rebooted version.
Yeah,
he's like a sucker for love. He falls in love quick.
Exactly. So I think maybe that's the difference. And I haven't seen the Sean Connery ones, so I can't really say.
Oh, I bet all of those ones they just sleep with women like nonstop. Yeah. You forget that there's a mission.
They at least have you acknowledge that Daniel Craig has emotions as James Bond, like. You know, maybe one of the women that he like slept with in the beginning of the movie, like, and this happens a lot. It's kind of like formulaic in a way, but ends up dead, and then you see him like really upset about it. And
in fact, I think James Bond reminds me of Wolverine.
I can see that
in his films. Wolverine always falls in love with someone and they always die because he's just such a dangerous human being.
Yeah.
So
no, it's similar.
And then they become cool and they pretend that they're distant and emotionless. And they don't care about anything.
And then his boss
care about someone again.
And then his boss is like, "You see, Bond, this is what happens when you're careless." This man is also the most destructive man. That's the thing we didn't talk about yet.
Yeah.
James Bond just destroys everything in his path.
James Bond is the worst MI6 agent in history. This guy shows up to a foreign nation and will destroy, kill first movie, right?
Yeah.
First movie, the mission is to spy on this guy.
Yeah.
And he literally tells his rookie friend, hey, don't kill him. Yeah. Then after a long chase, destroying tons of things, he just shoots him anyway. Yeah. It's like, James Bond.
Bro, you had one job.
Bro, you are the worst. And it's weird because in 3 out of the 4 movies we've seen, the destruction it's planned. Like, he clearly has a reason why he's the worst agent.
For example, when he crashed the dude's car in Quantum of Solace, we're like, why did he randomly crash that guy's car? And then he walks in and he's like, oh, whose car is that? I crashed, I accidentally hit them, like, I need to go give him my insurance. Yeah. And then he like found the guy he needs because he crashed his car.
No, exactly.
Oh, okay, it's kind of clever.
Occasionally the destruction is a plan so he can obtain something or get to the next location or find a lead.
Yeah.
But Inspector, it was just like, he just looked like he was reckless. He didn't care, and he was just destroying, killing everyone. Yeah. His job was to assassinate one person, and he blew up 2 buildings. And he still was alive. He didn't even assassinate him after that.
And then, like, his bosses are always like, Bond's at it again, blowing shit up.
He's at it again. Fire him.
You kind of, like, you low-key feel for the organization. You're like, he kind of can't do that. Like, it's kind of fucked up.
It's like everything he does, how does it not cause some kind of, like, war between the nation that he walks into and England? Because England's just sending out Bond to go and ruin countries.
Yeah, now he gets the job done.
That's the thing. I will say this.
No matter how many buildings he destroys, he gets the job done.
He's reckless. He's dangerous.
Oh my god! You know what's hilarious to me though too? What? Sorry, what were you saying?
I was saying that he's reckless. He's dangerous, and just like it. It's to the point where I feel like there's definitely another agent out there that can do the same thing and not destroy two buildings in the process.
You'd hope so. Yeah. What I was gonna say was like one of the hilarious things about these scripts, which are obviously again reminiscent of these 50 male gaze movies, where it's just like every time he sleeps with, like every time he needs something done, the way he goes about getting information, doing this, doing that, it always is sleeping with a woman, and then like that leads him onto his next lead in every single one. And
these are just the Daniel Craig ones.
Yeah, these are just the Daniel Craig ones I'm speaking about. But like he like sees a woman, he sleeps with her, and then as he's seducing her, he's like, yeah, like tell me a bit, like how do you like your husband? And she's like, I hate him. And then he's like why? And she's like, because he's a bad man. And then he's like, he gets all the information, and then sometimes he doesn't even sleep with them, and he just like leaves as he gets the information. But it's just like you're the best spy in the world, and somehow the only thing you know how to do is like blow shit up and sleep with women, and you get like all the information you could possibly need.
Just so, especially Spectre, it was like he walked in, right? The lady is recently widowed because Bond obviously killed her husband. And
he killed her husband.
Exactly.
He killed her husband.
And then he didn't do any, because I feel like in the other ones, he did at least some level of seducing, it makes sense. This one, he just starts asking questions, and then, her clothes start coming up.
I agree 100%. In Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace, he does smooth talking at a bar for like 2 minutes, and you're like, okay, I believe it. They hook up.
She gives the crazy eyes, like she's trying to...
Like, okay, I believe it. They had chemistry. They're going to have sex now. Yeah. But Inspector...
They're going to go have sex now.
Inspector, it is out of nowhere. Like, she literally says, you think I'm going to, be all upset that my dad died and sleep with you? That's not going to happen. And then she, sleeps with him in the next scene.
It's just without hesitation.
Without hesitation. And then she said she was in love with him?
Bro,
that we started geeking out loud. We're like, yo,
you met him for 3 days. Yeah, you slept with him once. Yeah, and now you love him.
But then he was in love with her too, and so I'm like, wait, at least they're trying to make it even.
But that's one thing that got me, because after seeing Bond sleep with so many women that he actually had more chemistry with than this one. Yeah. Now all of a sudden you want to stick around with this one. That's
right.
Bro,
it's pretty hilarious, and I don't think the audience believed it at the time, and I don't think they believe it now.
I don't think they'll ever believe it. I think Spectre's ass.
Yeah.
It's raw dog ass.
Yeah, Spectre was not very good, but I'm excited for No Time to Die because it has better reviews.
It has better reviews. I also like the intro more than Spectre, so I think that's really the key part. Yes. Is the intro.
The intro clearly speaks louder.
Yeah, the intro tells you what the movie's going to be, basically.
Yeah. Would you say Casino Royale was better than Quantum of Solace?
In terms of the movie or the intro?
Of enjoyment.
Oh, enjoyment. That's the thing. I don't think it's fair. I used to lean Quantum of Solace. I think I might be leaning Casino Royale.
I think I agree. I liked when they were playing Texas Hold'em.
Yeah, and then him and Vesper, their banter back and forth was fun.
That was great. It is very
really well written.
It is so well written. You do have to suspend disbelief to some of these to the suaveness of James Bond. Maybe
Bond is unbelievably smooth.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. But it is written very well. It's written what's it called? Erotica or something? Romance erotica.
Oh yeah.
What's it called? What are the books that Fabio is on the cover?
I know exactly what you mean. It's
I've never actually read one of those books.
This dangerous man comes and excites my life.
Exactly. I've never actually read one of those books. But I just saw that Sandra Bullock movie with Channing Tatum that kind of mimics.
That's kind of about that, right?
And that's kind of what I'm thinking of. They're good at writing him like that.
Yeah, no, he's really good at that. But for me, the difference for them isn't too great. I might lean Casino Royale because it caught my attention the first time. Yeah, and the chemistry with Vesper and James Bond is fantastic. Yeah, but it's not too different. I think for me, this is really just one movie split into two.
I agree, and I still feel like they never really finished the movie. They tried to wrap up the story because the organization, you never learn how they're taken down, and they try to wrap that up Inspector, but it just feels so messy.
It feels in a way it's sloppy. It's not actually satisfying. I feel unsatiated from watching that movie.
Right, because the whole organization of those first two movies, they just try to group together with the organization from Skyfall, and it was one big one the whole time.
And it makes Bond just a fucking dunce, dude. Like, are you stupid?
Yeah.
You fell in love after 2 days?
It was a little silly. I guess they try to focus more on the action than the actual believable romance.
That's the thing, but Skyfall perfectly married the story to the action to the Bond sleeping with way too many women.
Skyfall was like what I was sort of hoping for balance-wise out of a Bond movie. Yeah. I feel like if you want to watch a James Bond movie, literally just watch Skyfall.
Maybe that's the thing. Like, the reason why Skyfall hits so hard is that it might be perfecly balanced. Yeah. With everything that you need from
because, again, you don't need the context of the two movies before it as well.
Nope.
You don't.
You don't. Not at all.
So, watch Skyfall. Anyway, if you can
can't recommend more. I think Skyfall for me might be a 9 out of 10.
Skyfall was dope. I would watch that again.
So good. Action great, story great, Bond great.
Casino Royale is fun, but it doesn't finish the story. Skyfall is pretty self-contained.
Yeah, Casino Royale is like a good start. You know? It's a good start. It's fun.
Yeah.
But I think that's more like a 7-8 for me. Yeah. Spectre is so bad. I might give it a 5.
Spectre was not great.
I didn't find anything enjoyable in Spectre.
I remember not liking Spectre in theaters, and I didn't like it again.
Oh, you know what? I'll admit, I appreciate the comedy I got out of Spectre, but it's unintended.
You mean like the rat that like he almost shoots?
Okay, that was hilarious. Yeah. That scene is hilarious. No, it's like that, and then just like the concepts that Bond or the organization would do these things, which is funny because it's unbelievable.
Right.
So
that's true.
That enjoyment, I'll give it a couple points.
I do miss Judi Dench as M.
She was just I won't say way better, but the way she did it was just clean.
No, I like the new guy too. I just think she's awesome, and I think
but I feel like the new guy feels like just Bond is more powerful than him. Like Bond never feels like he has to actually succumb to whatever this new M needs. But the other M could actually like put him on a leash.
M is like his boss. That's the thing. James Bond is always running away from his agency and from the bad guys or whatever. Yeah, it's hilarious. Which I think is a lot of the point.
Exactly.
He's like a rebel in both aspects. But yeah.
Yeah. No. Bond. I like these movies. I'm excited to see what this next one holds. I hope it's a good rap for Daniel Craig. Yeah. Because he is such a good Bond.
He's fun. Such
a good Bond.
He's like kind of like quiet, but then like slick. And
he's like a suave, rude James Bond.
Yeah.
Or a suave, arrogant James Bond. Yeah. Whereas I feel like maybe the other ones, of course, still have that arrogant, but it's like, I feel like they're a little bit more professional.
Yes.
This guy like is...
No, he's sloppy, but he's suave at the same time.
And sometimes he's sloppy and suave at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and on that note, I think we could wrap it up for now.
Yeah, I guess we're good.
Yeah, got some James Bond reflection and some. What were we talking about earlier? It was like
we talked about a lot of things.
We talked about filming.
We talked about trying to film in LA and how it's different from Maryland. We talked a little bit about people being putting a hold over you and making you feel like you owe them, and you maybe trying to put a hold over people and make people feel like people owe you things.
Some nice reflection for the week.
No, a lot of good reflections. And James Bond.
We had to talk about it. It's all we've been doing all week.
Yeah, literally. Like I was gonna say, like what's the catch up for the week? Like, what have we done so far?
Exactly. James Bond.
I mean, we've also just been out here, but James Bond is a highlight.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you for listening.
That was fun. It's your boy, King Cudjoe.
The name is Kaufman.
Oh,
Kevin Kaufman.
And the name is Cudjoe. Sean Cudjoe.
And we will catch you next week on
the Starbound
Podcast. All right.
Cool. 2 Chainz.
Peace.